Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. My name is James Batchelor. Thank you very much for joining us for these live broadcasts on the Car Dealer Magazine YouTube channel. Now, today on the show, I'm delighted to say we've got the CEO of dealer group Waylands Automotive on the show, John O'Hanlon. Hello, John.
Good afternoon, James. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Thanks so much for coming on. I have been looking forward to this show. Now, for a bit of background, Waylands was created by John in November 2017 and quickly snapped up 4 dealerships within a year, including Fawcett's in Newbury, the Swedish brand's oldest dealership in the UK. Now, he stated his ambition in 2018 to grow Waylands to a £100 million turnover with a £2 million balance sheet within 3 years. And he's very much, now I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but he's very much an industry veteran, because before he set up Waylands Automotive, he was a non-executive director at John Clark Motor Group. And most notably, he was the CEO of Ridgeway Group between February 2007 and May 2016. Now, he oversaw the buyout of the firm by Marshall for £106.9 million. At the time, that was the biggest deal in the sector for over 10 years. And he's also a great public speaker, no pressure, John, and has appeared 3 times on our very own CDX conference. Now, we're going to be on the air for the next 20 to 30 minutes. If you've got a question you want to ask John, feel free to drop it into the comments box, but I've got plenty to kick off with. So let's get started then, John. Thanks very much for coming on. Now, I'm always intrigued by people who set up their own business, and I do have a lot of admiration. Let's start off with what made you take the plunge?
Now, well, there's 2 answers to that question. I'll give you my standard. Mrs. O'Hanlon looked at me and told us one of us was going back to be working full time, and I scurried out the door as quickly as I could. I think the realistic answer was at Ridgeway, I hadn't quite finished what I wanted to do. I was 46. I really enjoyed the industry. You know, it does get in your blood. I had some great contacts. And I really wanted to do something within the industry again. So I looked around, and after having a few discussions with some other dealer groups, with some of the big boys in the city, I decided I really wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to do it my own way and take the best of what I'd learned and try to add a little bit more of the magic dust to try and push forward. And try to create something that was a little bit different, but still ticked all the boxes I wanted it to tick. And that was where Waylands came from.
Yeah. And let's just talk briefly about Ridgeway. Now, that was a tremendously successful business. I mean, do you look back at it with a lot of sort of fondness?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we had so much fun in taking that business from when I joined 2 dealerships to over 30 dealerships, from 13 million to over 800 million. You know, the team that we built there was phenomenal. You look at where they've ended up, and you see, you know, I know John Heads at Marshall's Group Ops. You've got Simon McLaughlin at Citygate, Martin Sewell at Rock. So we had a lot of talent within us. You know, I've been lucky to benefit from some of that talent joining me. So Richard Spencer, who sold, you know, looked after sales for Marshalls and looked after Ridgeway Group, working with us. So there was a lot of talent. It was a lot of fun. We were successful. The frustration was I never got to finish off a few of the plans. So actually leveraging the Ridgeway brand, we had started to actually work round about that. You know, looking at used. So we had a Ridgeway Select division, but we hadn't done anything bigger. So we'd been talking to, you know, Imperial Car Supermarkets, funnily enough, having a look about how they did it, just so we could learn. So there was still more to do, but yeah, I look back at it fondly. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. We worked with some great people.
Yeah, yeah. And it was sort of interesting times during then, really, wasn't it? Because of course, taking the business from a small business to an enormous business, and halfway through that there was, a recession and a credit crunch.
Yeah.
That is, that's a testament to you and the team, really.
We doubled in size when we took on the Pentagon Group. So 4 Mercedes-Benz car dealerships with 4 truck depots. So our gearing was over 170% as we entered. The biggest shock at that time for motor retail. But what it did do was give me a few lessons about how to react, when to react, and that has served us well for this current situation. But also reinforced my belief, about some of the mantras. And, unashamedly, I know people get annoyed when I talk about the peach. And actually I stole it unashamedly. I stole it from Dale Wyatt, who's now MD of Suzuki.
Suzuki, yeah.
Actually having that stone in the middle, which is your processes, your systems, your reporting, it allows you to get more things right more of the time, right first time. And then the peach is what our customers feel, what our staff feel, what anybody visiting the business. And if we can get more of the systems and the processes right first time, it gives us more time to add value. And that has served us well throughout, 2008, and it served us well throughout 2020. And those things don't change. So, I could bore you as much as you want about spreadsheets and viabilities, but it's the people that make our business.
Yeah, yeah. But it's still, after having a successful career at Ridgeway, going off and doing your own thing is still a big step. And I mean, did you go into it, all guns blazing, or were there lots of reservations? I mean, just tell me the thought process.
I think I knew who I wanted to work with. We had been talking to Volvo at Ridgeway before we joined. So I knew I wanted to work with a premium brand, a brand that was well positioned. And if you look around electrification, the environmental impact, safety, it was ticking a lot of boxes that have now come to the fore. Autonomous, they were working really hard on it. The product lineup, and half our job is if we've got great product, then we know we'll be more successful. A great product coming through, and actually the team. And I'm really grateful to the Volvo UK team. John Wakefield at the time, before he went to Sweden and Christian came across. It's a small team, and it reminded me a little bit of some of the German brands a few years ago when they were still small. You could still interact, you could still influence. And I think
Audi, for example, that's the name that crops to mind, really.
Yeah, and again, you've seen the brands, and as the brands become bigger, they do become more structured, and there can be less room for maybe as many interactions, just because they're bigger, they're busier. And I've really enjoyed that about Volvo again. I regularly I was talking to Christian, the MD from Sweden, this morning, spoke to Matt Galvin last night. These are guys who are opening to listening and then acting on your feedback, not all the time, but certainly enough times to make you understand that actually it is important to them, which is great for me. I want to be part of that journey rather than just saying, this is how we do it. Can you go and do it, please?
Yeah, yeah. And Volvo itself as a brand, I mean, the change that they've made since your early Ridgeway days, I mean, it's been, I mean, I don't think, I think it ranks along with brands like Kia in terms of the way they've transformed themselves into a serious premium player. And also, they looked ahead to the trend of electrified cars way before a lot of other people. And now they've got a product range that really sits well in the year 2020, doesn't it?
And it is the only product range that actually has a hybrid in every single model lineup. So, we've got the best small SUV in terms, we'll have the only fully electric SUV, small SUV. So that's all the areas that we begin to get excited around. It feels like the world has come to Volvo, and a lot of those things Volvo just suddenly hasn't invented. We talk about safety, we talk about the environment. They've been there from day one with Volvo. That's part of their DNA. And when I'm selling, cars to friends, to family, to customers old and new, I want them to know that's the car I drive, and I'm really happy driving it. So from that perspective, I think it was right for me, and hopefully I've done the job for Volvo as well.
Yeah, yeah. Now let's carry on the chat about Volvo, and you've got a bit of a weight on your shoulders. How running Fawcett's, oldest Volvo dealer
I've
in
got
the
I've
UK.
I've got to just correct you on that.
Oh,
I my way of putting it is the oldest Volvo dealer in the country,
in the country. All right, okay.
England.
In England.
Yes, yeah. I don't want to annoy anybody in Scotland, in Perth. They might be upset. Or there's an even older one in Northern Ireland. So if we say the country, I'd be very grateful.
Okay, so you're such a great public speaker. Yeah, you PR me and yourself. It's fantastic. So oldest Volvo dealer in England.
Yeah.
In actual fact, my family have bought cars from Fawcett's way back when. I think my dad traded in a Volvo 240 for a 440. Goodness only knows why he did that. But
I
anyway,
probably paid a bit of goodwill for that sale.
yeah. But is there a bit of weight on your shoulders holding that business, or does that not come into it whatsoever?
I don't see it as a weight. It's more of a privilege, because at the time I was working from temporary premises in Reading. We had 3 used car display spaces. We had 20 car parking spaces, and we managed to sell, the best part of 400 cars from that site, and $1.5 million worth of parts. So I think for us, it was contiguous, which if you look at how Ridgeway grew, we looked at contiguous territories. We aimed to dominate the areas that we work within. So that made sense. It had a fantastic reputation. And Fawcett's name was stronger than Waylands at the time. So for all those reasons, it was a privilege to be able to deal with Mark Jones and actually take it on and bring it in as part of Waylands.
Yeah, yeah. And do you get a lot of sort of not heritage, but legacy customers who have always bought their cars from there, or is that not a thing these days?
No. I was shocked first time I went into a Volvo workshop, and you see the age of some of the cars and the amount of money that customers are willing to invest for. And that slightly shocked me. Working within the German brands, we dominate that 1 to 3, and then we do a few extra cars. But there's cars 10, 15, 20 years old actually in the workshop, getting full service work from year one. So you've got that lovely combination of the traditional Volvo demographic, slightly grayer, slightly older, and the wonderful mix that we've got with 90 for, and generally it'll be as mums with the kids. And then you've got XC40 and XC60, where people are looking for something that is slightly different and ticks a lot of boxes round about safety. And they look great. We've got some very stylish cars along the way. So you've got a wonderful combination of yes, your traditional Volvo customer, but then the new customers who are attracted to the new product.
Yeah, yeah. Are you having to invest a lot in terms of renewing corporate identities, installing electric car charging points? Because of course, there's no point selling hybrids if you can't charge them up. So is there a lot of investment you're putting in at the moment?
Yeah, if you look over, one of the reasons we haven't been doing more, and again, it's a proven path. We buy, we fix, we invest, we then move on. And we had a lot of growth via acquisition. So it's now we make those right, we fix them for the future, and then we try our damnedest to dominate local areas, and then we move on. So what you're seeing is we're in that section where we're fixing the roof, we're getting everything beautiful. So that started off with Reading, £6 million site, beautiful. And really, it's a model, it's a template. We do get a lot of visits from dealers, Volvo dealers, coming down to have a look and get the feel of it, and it does feel tremendous. I think they've really, really nailed it in terms of it still feels big enough. We've still got the grey tiles for the road, but then you move into an area where we've got the living room, which is oak lined, lovely Swedish design furniture and leathers. So you immediately begin to feel at home and you begin to relax. And that's what we've got to do with our customers. Part of that is environment, part of it's the people. But I think in terms of the environment, we've nailed it. We then relocated. And this is part of where we've made a lot of our investment has been around the dealerships that we bought were shared premises and they're now all standalone. So Reading, Swindon and Oxford were all within shared premises, and they're now selling more cars, making more money by being in dedicated premises. And that's been some investment. Some of that investment we don't get back, because we know we've got to do the full CI. So Oxford is now fully CI'd. That was an investment of over £1 million, about 1.2 million. We've got Newbury to do, and then we've got Swindon to do. Swindon's the big one. That's a 2-acre site that will need a little bit of loving to turn around. So that's the part where we have been working our numbers quite hard.
Yeah. Do you think creating a relaxing, enjoyable environment for customers to come into is more important than ever before? Because, of course, as we know, the days of people trawling dealerships on a Saturday morning are rapidly going. So they've got to become destinations, really, haven't they?
They do. And, more than ever just now, when you walk into a dealership, you've got to feel comfortable. And I think we've got some fantastic environments. As I say, some are VRE, the Volvo CR, the Volvo CI, and some not quite there, but all of them are very neat, very tidy, very welcoming. And it's so important. I mean, what we've worked really hard to do is avoid, the hazard tape everywhere, and try to make it feel as welcoming as possible, but also as safe as possible. So you'll find waiting zones, but the tape that we do have on the floor is not black and yellow, it's red, and it's branded. So we've got the Waylands logo on it. You come across the viral screens, again, they look much the same, but they're branded. So it's actually, this is part of who we are and what we do. And as I say, if you can overlay that with people who really care about customers, and whether that's from the sales execs to the techs to the management, then we're in a good place. We're in a really good place.
So how have you found customer footfall? Has it picked up well since dealerships opening on 1st of June?
It has been incredible. We kept the general managers in with some support. And I've got to say a big thank you to all 4 of them. Don, Paul, Eric, and Eddie. They actually worked incredibly hard, and it took them outside their comfort zone. Because not only did they have to answer the phone, they had to deal with service inquiries, they were dealing with sales inquiries, and stacking deals, arranging, the prep, arranging delivery, that it pushed them. I've got 4 very tired GMs now who didn't get their usual little break after March. So they've been fantastic. But even in April, we had saw our year-on-year inquiries drop by 80%. That still meant there was 20% of inquiries out there. So we still sold cars. That then dropped. So that moved up, that doubled in May. So we were still 60% off where we needed to be, but still 40% of inquiries. And I think that's where we went from, as we looked at the end of March, we were drawing up viabilities that showed us losing, the best part of £1.5 million in 3 months. That was the frightening part. We saw the government support in terms of rates, in terms of GRS. We got support from a few of the suppliers, and then we began to formulate what we wanted to do. And I think I should say thanks to Car Dealer Live, James and yourself, for what you did. You helped the process. I would say a shout out to Steve Freeman at McIntyre Hudson. A lot of hard work they've been putting in to actually keep us informed of what's been happening. What we then saw was very quickly a return to strengthening. So in June, we were up 25% in terms of inquiries. July, that's gone further, that's up 40%. But best will in the world, that's all good. but what pays the bills is the order take. And the order take since the 1st of June is up 67% year on year. So, you know, this, we managed to pull a result that will get us back to break even by the end of June, and we will have a good July. But that's on the back of doing 200 used units, which will blow away our best month by the best part of a third.
Yeah.
So customers, there are more customers out there than we're used to at this time of year. And those customers are more willing to buy. Our conversion rates are not quite double, but they're not far away. We've got serious customers. So I think what we've got is a level of demand and a level of pent-up demand that we're enjoying at the moment. And that's great. If that gets me into August, I then know that September's arriving. We've got good availability of product on new, which I know a lot of brands don't have. We're working our socks off roundabout used. You know, Richard Spencer, my after sales director that I mentioned earlier, you know, he's done a stellar job for me roundabout our after sales. So, you know, it feels, as long as there's no more bumps and what could go wrong, only Brexit and another recurrence of COVID. What could go wrong? Nothing. So I think those are the things that we're aware of. But right now, it feels good, and we're working ever so hard to make sure that we take advantage of every inquiry that's coming through the business.
Yeah. I mean, used car sales have been bonkers, haven't they? Because we've been writing stories about used cars virtually every day of the week, because there's always something new to say about them. Now, as you and I both well know, that used cars, you know, they tend to do well at times of financial crisis or economic crisis. But what we're seeing at the moment is pretty unusual, isn't it?
Well, you know, I look at it and you sort of think, okay, people don't want to use it. And you got to remember, for us, we're selling Volvos in the Thames Valley. You know, I saw a study that showed Oxford and Reading were amongst the top 5 most resilient to COVID town cities in the country. So we know we're in a better place. We know there's a lot of our customers, potential customers, have not been laid off, have not been furloughed. So they've had the earnings. So you then go into, well, what have they been doing? Because they've not been spending it. And I think the banks came out with, from the end of December to the end of June, savings have gone from 5 billion to 50 billion. So there is that little bit. And, you know, I think you've mentioned it before, you know, hell, we're not going to live forever. We might as well spend it. Yeah. And I think there is a little bit roundabout. I don't want to be going on a train. How can I avoid going on public transport? We're not going on holiday this year. So I think you've got all this coming together. And I'm not quite sure what is the most important reason, but as long as the customers keep ringing, phoning, emailing and live chatting, I'll happily talk to them all the way through. It feels like there's a buzz. Now, what I've been expecting is it would slow down, and we had a fantastic used car event with Volvo, and that was terrific. It was our best ever week. So it blew away anything we'd done in terms of VIP type events in March or September. So we're really reassured by that. But then you expect, okay, when's a hangover kick in? And we've not had a hangover. We continue to sell more cars. And last week was our best non-event week. So you've got a terrific new, and funnily enough, new cars have picked up more in the last 2 weeks. We're getting that 50-50 where we had a dominance of used car order take. Not for the month, mainly for September, October, but I've got to eat in September, October. So you've got that, you've got a lot going on, you know, and that's why I didn't do many interviews. I tried to avoid doing lots of social media. I just wanted to concentrate entirely on the business until I got to understand what we were doing and how we were doing it, and making sure that we were communicating with the teams, with the customers at the right time. So it's been it's been a learning experience. You know, I can talk about agile, amplification, acceleration, but you know, it's again, you never stop learning. Every day is a day at school, and it's felt like that over the last sort of 4 months. Expensive way.
Now it's great to hear that new car sales are picking up for you.
Hmm.
Do you think the government does need to help out a little bit here, or do you think that the momentum's growing and you don't really need any support?
It's a difficult one. I'm not sure why you wouldn't. You know, we know that scrappage pays for itself and a lot more. We knew that the VA cut helped us, and you got more back into the exchequer. So I'm not quite sure why you're not, unless you're just keeping it in reserve. And that might be, well, it looks the numbers that we're getting. You know, they might have more insight. I'm always hopeful they've got more insight in terms of they can see something that we can't, or it's a stimulus that they can bring in when they believe it's needed. You know, right now we're benefiting, I think, mainly from the pent-up demand. And as and when that begins to become less, that might be the time for it. So I don't think it goes away. It's great to have in your armory, and why wouldn't you use it if it does provide a spike for the right sort of cars? I know the arguments round about we don't produce enough electric cars, EVs, to benefit from a Germany type scheme, but there must be a way around it. There must be a way of doing it. So I can understand why it's not arrived, and I'm just hopeful if it's required, they'd be quick to come to the party with it.
Yeah, yeah. Lastly, I just want to talk about online car sales. Now, you know, Waylands was sort of, I think wasn't it chosen as the sort of rollout dealer
Yes.
for Volvo's online car sales. So
Yeah,
how has that been? And also, you know, coronavirus has very much catalyzed people's interest in online car sales, hasn't it?
I mean, I think, well, there's two sides to it. You know, we continue to sell 15 cars a week. We should be doing closer to 50 cars a week. And we didn't have a full end-to-end digital sales channel. But customers still found us. But it did, and when we do talk about acceleration, it did really ram home to me the fact that we didn't have that full digital channel, because where we like or not, customers are still will do it more. They will be spending more time online, and more customers, I'm not sure what proportion, will be more comfortable at going further online. So I think as a hygiene factor for every dealer business, you've got to get a point where you can look after those customers. You know, so we're looking at our website provider at the moment, and hopefully, you know, prior to 1st of September, we'll have that solution. And that gives me a lot of comfort personally to know that I can take that on. But the level of sales that we're enjoying, and I guess most dealers are enjoying, will still be physical. The biggest percentage will still be physical. You know, looking at Kazoo's Imperial car purchase, again, I think we need physical infrastructure. It's not one or other. It's a combination. It's the clicks and bricks. And I think it's important to actually make sure that you've got both, and the best you can manage from both. So whether that be an older dealership, a newer dealership, it looks tidy, cars are well presented, your teams are well presented, informed and ready to look after each and every customer, or it's your digital showroom. And that represents the value and the culture of your business at the same time. So things will change, things will continue to change, not as much as I think some people have told us they'll change, but it has been happening. And I think what we'll see is a bigger push, and companies that are positioned digitally, as well as providing a great physical content, will be the winners as they come out.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid, John, but it's been fascinating hearing more about business. I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the year.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I should have done it earlier.
You should have done, but anyway, you're here now.
I was waiting for number 75. That's my lucky number, you know.
It is. Now, our next show is on Friday, and that's going to be with DVLA personalised registrations. Don't miss that. If you want to get involved in a show just like this one and take 75 shows to actually get onto it, just like John, then please do message me, james.batchelor@blackballmedia.co.uk, or James Baggett, james@blackballmedia.co.uk. Until Friday. Thanks very much for watching, and bye-bye.